as we're recording.
Yeah.
So we'll hand over to Joe. Thanks, Joe.
Okay. Oh, good to be with you all. I think this is the 10th one we've done, isn't it, Mairead? I think.
Yeah,
I
it's
think.
number 10. Yeah.
Right. Let me just share and let me. So I've done a little Notion page as I normally do. Let me share that with you all so that you have all the links. So that should be in the chat now for you. Ah, there we are. We can see you, Jen. Yeah, camera is working. Turn it off, turn it on again. Always works, doesn't it? So there we go. Okay, so I mean, it just doesn't stop, does it? The kind of march of all these AI tools and things. Um, and I can't quite remember how long it is since we did the last one of these, but I just threw together a few bits and pieces that I'm aware of that have changed recently. I don't know whether you get to use all these different tools. I certainly do. And these tools are ones that I use pretty much on a daily basis. Um, Different things give me different capabilities. So I just thought I'd kind of bring you up to date with what is going on. I suppose one of the tools that I use a lot now is Google Notebook LM. This is free. This is safe. It doesn't share data into a data set. So when you build a notebook and upload sources and documents into it, they're just yours. They're not anywhere else's. So, I mean, why anybody in academia isn't using Notebook LM, I don't know, because it's the best thing since sliced bread in terms of all this AI stuff. Let's have a look in here. I'm doing a course at the moment for the Institute of Bankers. So I've built a notebook for them. So I'm teaching a course on responsible use of AI. Um, I've shown you Notebook LM before, so some of you will have seen the general layout and stuff. On the left hand side, you can add your sources, and these can be PDFs, these can be text files, these can be website links, all kinds of stuff. The free version of Notebook LM gives you up to 50 sources of 500,000 words each. Yeah. Now, Lord of the Rings is 300,000 words, all 3 volumes. So, it's a lot of material you can upload. And this notebook isn't accessible by anybody else unless you share it, and even then it doesn't seem to work, the sharing. But it certainly doesn't share data into a data set or whatever. So if you've got an academic paper or a set of academic papers that you are wanting to interrogate for something that you're doing, you can upload them into here safely. They're not going anywhere else. Okay. So I've got the paid version at the moment. I'm on the paid version of all of the tools pretty much. So I can upload up to 300 sources in a notebook. Right? A few little things that they've added in that are nice recently. This Discover Sources button is new if you haven't seen it before. So you can ask it to go and find out stuff, and then it will go off and do a search and offer you the 10 top sources that it finds on your particular thing. So I don't know, implementing the EU AI Act in Irish business. Let's see, implementing. Okay, now, so now it's going off and it's discovering sources. Now, so here we are. It's giving us some stuff here. We've got links to go off and have a look at that if we want to, and see whether it's something that's useful. Yeah, and then we can come back into the thing here and say, yeah, I want that one, or I can uncheck it if I don't want it. Okay, and if you do want these all adding into your notebook, you just hit import, and now you've got 10 new sources that are relevant because you've curated them with that prompt. Okay, so pretty useful to kind of start building up a set of resources. Okay, so that's the discover option. When you let me just did I get a question there, or is it just some book? No. Okay. If I uncheck all the sources, Okay, and let's just look at one Future of AI report 2025. Okay, Financial Times. Okay, there we are. So this now gives you a quick summary of all the key topics and stuff as soon as you click on it. Yeah, and then what you can also do is generate a mind map now. So this is rather lovely. And so this takes a second or two to do. Yeah, but once you've got the mind map, okay, so here we are. Okay, so this is the mind map of my notebook. And now I can open up each one of these. Okay, so regulation and governance, something like that. And then, if I want to focus in on, I don't know, the US executive order on AI safety, that now brings me back into the notebook, and it will query the sources that I have, selected. Yeah, so at the moment it's only one. Okay, and now it's giving me some information about that. But if I'd got all 80, it would have queried all 80 and whatever. And then the references in here point back to exactly where in the documents that are in the source list the kind of information is coming from. So this is pretty useful. And now you can save this to a note. So if that was, if that one was particularly useful, this particular question that I've just asked about, you know, or I've come to from the mind map, yeah, on the US executive order, yeah, I can save that to a note, and then that puts it here, yeah, and that those notes retain the links to the source material. They didn't before. So that's made this much more useful from a research point of view, because if you just created a note, then when you came back to it, you didn't have the links to the source material. So again, just for doing research and stuff, this is becoming very, very much more useful. What else was there? Yeah, those were the two things in Notebook LM. Any other thoughts on Notebook LM from the room? Anybody else using it for different things or finding it useful?
I've played with it a bit, Joe, but I not very much. And I certainly wouldn't be familiar with the difference between the free version and the paid version.
Yeah,
Is the main
it's
difference the number of
definitely not. It's
documents?
just the amount of sources, Jen. You get all the
Okay.
functions in the free version. You're just limited to 50 sources, which isn't really a limitation for most people.
Well, I'm kind of thinking if I did have a limitation, I'm not going to reach the 500,000 word limit. So
No,
I'd probably just batch together a few
that's right.
PDF
Just put a few
and
PDFs together. Yeah, that's right.
and whack them all up. Um,
Yeah.
but it's been on my mind to play with it more, I think.
Yeah,
It's it's it
it's on
seems
the
to be
fire.
doing what Dante sort of promised. Do you
Yeah,
remember a couple of years
I
ago
do.
there was that Dante tool,
Yeah.
but it was a paid one and it didn't really gain legs,
Didn't
really.
load enough stuff, and yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that was a very early example of this RAG model, this retrieval augmented generation, where you curate a set of data and then you can
Mm.
kind of query against it. But
Is there a limit on the number of notebooks you can have?
not that I'm aware of. Um, I
Okay.
don't know how many I've got now, but it's a lot. Um,
Oh yeah. The
yeah.
next problem will be trying to organize the
Well,
notebooks.
that's the thing. But I mean, they're putting time and effort into this now. The team are working on Notebook LM, so I suspect that they will, be adding things like folders and search and stuff.
And do
It's
you have this through a personal Gmail, or have you done your paid subscription with your UCD account? Or am
no,
I even allowed to ask that question?
because I'm doing other training and teaching, I'm doing all this through my kind of personal Gmail, yeah,
Okay.
rather than through the UCD one. Yeah, yeah, because I have a little consulting company, so I can offset all these subscriptions against tax, which is nice. So they only cost me half as much as they should do. So
That's fair enough.
so that's Notebook LM. You definitely want to be having a look at this if you're doing any kind of research these days. It's one of the most powerful tools out there for just assembling huge amounts of information and then being able to query against it and find stuff really, really quickly. Okay, so that's Notebook LM. Gemini is the Google AI. It's turning into my favorite tool of all the AIs. I used to live in ChatGPT, which I think is where a lot of people still are. But I rarely now go into ChatGPT, to be honest. Gemini seems to becoming my kind of AI of choice. So if I click on Gemini, so it's the same as all the other ones in terms of its look and feel. They've just released 2.5 Pro, which is more powerful, and they've included that into the deep research as well. Have we been over deep research in an earlier one of these? Have we touched on deep research? Deep
I
research,
missed the last one,
right?
so I can't be sure, but I haven't seen it from you.
Deep research is really powerful. Let me see if I've got an example of deep research. That one might be. Yeah, okay. So if you choose deep research and you ask it to generate, to go off and do the research, it will go off and it will do a significant deep piece of research, and it will look for lots and lots of different sources, and then it produces a kind of report. And one of the things I love about Gemini is then that can be straight. You can open this now in Google Docs. Okay, there are relatively few, if any, hallucinations that you get from deep research because it's using a new thing called kind of chain of thought reasoning. So it kind of checks that the sources that it's using are actually real. So you don't tend to get a whole lot of hallucinations. I haven't found any in any of my deep research reports and stuff. So this was one that I was teaching a class on AI governance recently. So one of the things I do before each class is I create what I've just called a primer on each of the topics, and this is where I kind of start from. Is I get Google to go off and generate one of these. Now this is a 45-page document. Okay, so we've got a lot of stuff in here about all the key stuff around governance of AI and whatever, tables and stuff. And if we come back down to the end, yeah, we have a list of 76 sources, yeah, which are all kind of pretty current and linked sources. Some of them are academic, some of them are business related sources and stuff like that. So there's a lot of stuff in here. And then you can also, this is just a document now, so you can edit this, you can, so I drop it into Word, put headings on it, add in some stuff, take some stuff out, and that's a primer very, very quickly that you can generate on almost any topic, and it'll do equivalent of what we used to take days to do in 10 minutes, 15 minutes. It's not an instant when you set it off doing deep research. So let's just go back into Gemini and let me just start one off. Okay, so create me in UK English, yeah, a guide to, I don't know, to the solar system, yeah, aimed at undergrad astronomy students. Okay, so what it does is it goes off and it has a think, and it comes back with a plan of what it's going to research, the kind of main topic areas and things like that. And then you get a chance to edit that plan. Okay, so if we click on the more here, okay, so here's what it's coming up with. So this is its kind of like super prompt that it's planning to kind of pump into this. So create me, right, so define the components of the solar system, detail the sun, describe the inner planets, describe the outer planets, major moons, distribution, standard model, cohesive guide. Yeah. So I might edit that plan and I might say, that's all right. Okay, so here we are, we're editing the plan now. Yeah. Can you add a chapter at the end, yeah, describing the history of our building up knowledge of the solar system? Yeah. Reference not just European, but also Chinese history. Okay, so now what it'll do is it will go and it will add that into the research plan and give you it back. Okay, so now we've got that research plan, and down at the bottom, okay, describe the historical development of human understanding. Okay, and you see it's gone off and found Babylonian, Greek, Chinese contributions, which the Copernican revolution, da da da. Okay, so now you start the research. Okay, and you can edit that plan as much as you like. So now what we've got is it's doing its thing. Okay, so and you can go off now and do something else. And in 10 or 15 minutes, it will return, you know, a long, well-researched document. But what I love is this. So you've got this show thinking button. I always turn that on. Yeah. So it tells you how it's thinking now. And as it goes off and does a bit of research, it then comes up and it'll say, you know, that throws up a new question for me. I need to go off and find this out, or I need to go and confirm this, or whatever it is. Yeah. And I mean, just from a research perspective, watching how the AI processes, if you like, and thinks, yeah, can be quite interesting and instructive, particularly if you're a domain level expert, because, you know, maybe you're seeing it go off down rabbit holes that you might have forgotten about, or you may not have thought of, or whatever. Or maybe you see it's missing some key things, and then, you know, when you come back to the document, you can start to see. But you know, so I mean, it's doing an initial search. Yeah. Now, I mean, some of this stuff is good. Some of it, you know, it's Wikipedia and whatever. So, you know, as always with all this AI stuff, you do have to then, you know, read it critically, and you know, there may be stuff that you don't want in there, but it's pretty good as a starting point. Yeah. And I mean, you know, again, I'm teaching all my students how to use these tools because this makes them able to gather information far more quickly. Yeah. And then, you know, and typically what I'll do maybe is do this. Now, there's deep research now in ChatGPT, in Gemini, in Perplexity. Not sure about Claude. So what I'll typically do if I'm starting something new is I will run deep research the same prompt. So what I generally do, I start in Gemini, I generate that mega prompt, that guide, yeah, and then I copy and paste that prompt into deep research in ChatGPT and deep research in Perplexity, and get 3 reports. And then I'll take each of those reports, save them as a PDF, yeah, and pop them into Notebook LM. And now I've got a corpus of information that I can kind of draw on. And then I might add some papers and other things that I've got, you know, as well. But it's a great way to get started. So this is thinking now, and this little icon here, yeah, shows us we're a third of the way through. Yeah. So we'll leave that up there. Okay, I'll put it over there so that we know where it is, and we'll come back to Gemini in a little while and see what it's come up with. Yeah. What else? Canvas. Yeah. So if I just open up a new Gemini window, leave that one going. So let's turn deep research off. Let's just come back to say 2.5. Yeah, there's a button here for Canvas, and they've taken this directly from ChatGPT because ChatGPT has a similar function. Okay, so I don't know, create me a I don't know, a guide to you know, playing bowls. Okay, but I've got Canvas turned on. Yeah, so what it'll do now is split the screen. So it's having to think about playing bowls and stuff like that. And what it's going to give us now is an editable document. Okay, so it's creating this document here, and this is fully editable. So this is just a nice way to kind of generate stuff and then be able to edit it straight off yourself, and then you can export that out to docs, or you can copy it into Word or whatever. But you know, rather than just getting the splurge and just having to take it as it is, you can now kind of edit this yourself. Yeah. So you know, if I want to add something here, I can put some more stuff in or whatever. So it's nice, and it's a better implementation than the ChatGPT one. You just have to remember to turn it on. That's that canvas option just there. Yeah. The 2.5 Pro, which is the new model that came out a couple of weeks ago, is also now able to code really well. Okay, so I don't know. Let's ask it to make a captivating endless runner game. Now you know you could type in something that you wanted it to do itself. Okay, so what it's now doing is it's having a little think, and again, it's what we're going to see in a minute is we're gonna see it start coding. Boom, 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 boom. Normally, let's have a look. So this is the HTML file, right? So this is just giving you the stuff to do. Right, I'm going to stop that. Okay. So create me a Kanban interactive web page, allowing me to create tasks and move them through a work cycle. Okay, let's see what that does. So it's deciding how to do that. Okay, so it's going to use HTML and JavaScript and stuff like that, and it's probably going to make a liar of me, because normally this would split out. So it's doing it in stuff here. So we've got an HTML file, we've got a CSS file, and then at the end of it, depending on how it's coded, it will normally then run the code for you and give you a kind of preview. Okay, and all this code is there. It's all copyable. So if you're a coder and you want to drop this out into you know, one of your particular coding apps, then you can do that. Yeah, but you see, it's told us here we've got to save those 3 code blocks into a folder and then open index.html. Okay, so you know, it's not directly done it now, but it's getting very good at this stuff, whether it's coding, whether it's writing. You know, it's getting more powerful. You've got audio summaries. We had in Notebook LM. Where was Notebook LM? I closed it. You've had the option for a while in Notebook LM to create audio summaries of tools of you know, anything that you load up as a source. Okay, so that's there. So that's always been there. Yeah, but in Gemini now, if we start a new conversation and I just add a file. So let me pull in what have we got? Video presentations, patient records workshop. Okay, so here's a document for a patient record scenario. Yeah, we've got an option now to generate an audio overview of that. So let's say you've got a big complex paper, or there's a report, yeah, but you haven't got time to spend, you know, an hour reading through 50-page report or whatever. You can generate a quick audio overview, and you know, you can listen to it on the way into work. Yeah, and it will, you know, and it just creates this little podcast of what the content was, and two kind of American voices discussing it. So you can do this for individual files as well as now for kind of Google Notebook sets of sources takes 2 or 3 minutes to generate, and as soon as we've generated it, you can then play it, and you can download it as a WAV file as well. So if you've got a MP3 player or something, you can do that. So again, we'll leave that there doing its thing. This one is halfway through. The deep research is still chuntering away, but you can see all this stuff that it's been doing and all these sources that it has consulted. Yeah, so look, there's the sun. Now I'm now turning my attention to the major moons of the solar system. So then it's looking at another load of sources. Yeah, and now it's ready to synthesize this all into start writing the report. So that's what it's doing at the moment. Yeah, so pretty cool, right? So the overview is being generated. So that's all that stuff. Don't think I've shown you Google AI Studio. This is free, it's kind of more of a developer tool, but it's free to anybody. Okay, and there's some really cool stuff to play with in here. The thing that one of the most powerful things about this is this streaming option over on the left hand side. Okay, so it doesn't really matter which model you pick, but I mean that this is the current fastest, biggest, smartest model. Click on stream and then share your screen. Okay, and I'm going to share my main screen. Okay, share. Hi, Gemini.
Hello there. How can I help you today?
Well, I'm in this strange looking app that I've never been in before, called Microsoft PowerPoint, and somebody sent me this deck, and I've got to edit it. Is there any way I can change the font where it says minute taking in the middle of the screen? I don't know how to do that. Can you talk me through how I might do that?
I am sorry. I cannot assist with Microsoft PowerPoint. Is there anything else I can help with?
Oh, you can't. Okay. Well, can you have a look at the slide that's on the screen at the moment and give me some ideas of how I might be able to change the font on this?
From what I can see, there is a video playing in the Stream Real-Time section of Google AI Studio. It looks like a screen recording of someone using Google AI Studio. Is there anything specific that you would like me?
I think I must have shared the wrong screen then. Let me see whether I've done that. Stop the sharing. Okay.
All right. Let me know if you need any help with the correct screen sharing.
Okay, thanks. I'll try this again. Let's just try that again. Share the screen. Window. It's normally entire screen. Here we are. Right. Let me share my entire screen. Can you see what's on the screen at the moment?
Yes.
Okay. You see where it says minute taking in the middle? I don't like that font. Is there how could I change the font so that it's bigger and a different kind of maybe more ornate font?
To change the font, first select the text box where it says minute taking. Then, in the Home tab, you can adjust the font size using the font size dropdown and change the font type using the font style dropdown. Would you like me to help you with anything else?
Okay, so let me just try that. So, all right, yeah, that's working fine. Yeah, I can see how that's working. That's really cool. If I wanted to insert a photo, could I do that on this slide?
To insert a photo, you can go to the Insert tab and click on the Pictures button. From there, you can choose a picture from a file or from online.
Okay, yeah, that's cool. Right. Thanks for your help today.
You're welcome. Feel free to ask if you need any more assistance.
Thank you. Why am I saying thank you to an AI?
That's for when they take over. You know,
Yeah,
they remember
absolutely,
you to
Anna.
thank you.
Absolutely am. Now you could use this for anything. Yeah. It doesn't just have to be for PowerPoint. It knows kind of all the apps. Yeah. So you could have this look at a document on the screen and it'll read the document and it'll kind of comment on it. You could I've got some students on the finance course. Maybe some of them need to use, say, a Bloomberg, app, financial kind of marketing app or whatever it is. Yeah, you go into the Bloomberg terminal, it'll tell them how to use the Bloomberg terminal. Yeah. If it can be up on screen, it can see it, it can process the whole of the screen and understand it, and then act as a coach. And I think this is potentially kind of revolutionary in education. Yeah. Because if we point our students to this, it can help them with anything that they bring up on screen. How do I do this? Yeah. Act as a coach. I mean, there's already chatbots where you can set them up very easily to, be Socratic dialogue and stuff like this. But this actually sees what you're doing. And you have that conversation with it in real time, and it can offer advice, and it can say, try this, try that, and you can do it and see whether it works. I don't know whether this is something anybody. It's really difficult. Everybody's got their camera turned off apart from Jen and Mairead. It's really difficult to get a feel for whether this is landing with anybody. Thank you, Anne. Thank you, Alice and Arturo. Lovely. Yeah. Thoughts on what I'm showing you so far?
Joe, is there see the way the AI didn't want to give you help with Microsoft,
That
a
was
Microsoft product?
Because
Yeah.
I mean, maybe that's a kind of like, we're not helping Microsoft.
Yeah.
And yet when
That's
I just said, well, yeah, I didn't say it was PowerPoint. I said, just give me some help. Then it carried on. Yeah. So I maybe previously I've not told it was PowerPoint because I've never heard it say that before.
yeah.
So, yeah. But,
Joe, I have a question on something you mentioned previously,
yeah.
and is that you said that, for example, you use deep research, you use it with Gemini, then you use it with Perplexity,
Yeah.
and then when you obtain, you combine it into Notebook LM. What I don't get to understand if we're using the same search tool, for example, deep research, how does
Right.
Gemini or Perplexity gives me a different information? Is something else more than just the presentation?
Oh yeah, very different
Mhm.
information. If I go back to my deep research, right, so which is now finished. Okay, so there we are. So there's our comprehensive guide to the solar system, and you can see there's a lot of it. Okay, we can click back. We can come back further up, and there's the quote. There's the prompt. Okay, that I fed into Gemini. So I can now export that to Google Docs, and I could save that, say, as a PDF, which I could then import straight into Notebook LM, or I could take that Google Doc and import it into Notebook LM. But what I can also do is I can go off now to say ChatGPT. Okay, and ChatGPT has a deep research option. Okay, so I can now paste in that exact same prompt into ChatGPT. Now, this is a totally different tool. It's trained in a different way to Google's Gemini. It's not. It's like you asking Alice and Anna to do a piece of research, giving them the same prompt. They would come back with something that was good, but they would be different. Yeah. So putting the same prompt into 2 or 3 different of these deep research tools gives you 3 different sets of data back, information back. And then you save each one of those, open up a Google Notebook and load in each of those 3 reports that have been generated. Yeah. And that's a nice starting point. You've got a deep pool of information now to start playing with.
Okay, I understand. I was thinking wrongly. I was thinking of deep research as if it was just like ChatGPT, because you can access ChatGPT from Perplexity or from different tools, but deep research is just different in each of them. Okay, I get it now. Okay.
So if I open up Perplexity here, you see there's a deep research button there, as well. So you just choose that option in the tool that you're in, and then it will go off and it will do that deeper level of reasoning and research.
Okay, I see. Thanks.
So that's cool. So yeah, so I mean,
Mm.
there we are. There's our comprehensive guide to the solar system, with all the headings and stuff like that. And I don't know how long it is, but we go to the end. What are we on? How many pages? 35 pages. Yeah. Of stuff on the solar system, pretty quickly. So that's I think it's really cool. Thoughts, worries, concerns?
Serious change on where things were even just 3 or 4 months ago.
Yeah.
Like you take your eye off the ball for a short while, and like I know like I'm reading the different newsletters and I know what's happening, but it's when you see it in action, it's kind of
It's a bit mind-blowing, isn't it?
yeah. Have you dabbled much, Joe, yourself with the agentic AI stuff, the agents?
Yeah,
I haven't seen anything on them other in
it's
terms of demos. I've only kind of read about
it's
their
early.
existence.
They're talking a lot about them, but they're not really quite ready for prime time yet, which is why you're not really seeing a lot of them yet. I have there's one tool that's out now called Manus.
Mm.
I got an early access to Manus. Um, I tried to do this in deep research. I'm doing a course for the Royal Photographic Society at the moment on Adobe Lightroom. It's a it's a image processing tool, and so each session, and I'm doing 20 sessions for them. So each session I produce a little handout about what we're talking about on the session. And this particular session that I did a few weeks ago was on the menus. So it was a very kind of detailed breakdown of all the stuff that's in all the different menus that we don't cover when we're doing normal photo editing and stuff like that. So it was really bitty. And I'd been putting it off, and I thought, well, I wonder whether Gemini could help me. Yeah, so I tried it in Gemini, I tried it in ChatGPT, and there was nowhere, I don't think publicly, that the menu structures in Lightroom were available. Okay, so they had the awful problems because they said, I'm checking the Adobe help files, but I can't find the menu structure for the library module and all the rest of it. So they just didn't do a good job. Now Manus, and this is a new agentic tool. And what agentic means is that when you ask a question, the AI tool will break that question down into a series of interlinked kind of sub questions, tasks, whatever. And each task it creates a little agent, a little kind of GPT to go off and do that task. And then when one of those tasks is finished, it'll come back and it'll kind of say to itself, right, well, the agent one has finished its job and whatever. Let's have a look and see what it did. Do I need to send any other agents out to kind of amplify it or do anything or whatever? So it's very intelligent. It's like having a set of research assistants that are actually talking to each other and going off and doing things and then coming back and synthesizing the information and whatever. Okay, so I started Manus off on this. Okay, so I said I need to create a detailed user guide. Okay, each menu item should have its own section, UK English, aimed at amateur photographers. Okay, and it starts then to do all this work, researching all these different things. Different agents are doing each one of these things. Okay, so then it's done the research and it's created a to-do list and all the rest of it, and then it's gathering all the menu items and it's pulling this together, okay, into a file. And then it said, right, I've done the library mode module, do you want to have a look and see what I've done so far and tell me whether it's okay? I mean, this is really cool. Yeah, so you can stop it and start it and whatever. So there we are, we go down, we've pulled it all together. Yeah, and it ran out of memory. So I just said, please continue. And it started again. Yeah. And I think I had to do that a couple of times before it actually finished. But it did actually finish. And I mean, this is very new. Okay. So here was the complete guide to it. And if I show you the complete guide, can I? Yeah. So we've got this full guide, which is 80 pages long to Lightroom. Okay, every single, and I went through the menus and I checked them all and it's dead right. Okay, it's really, really good. And then it said, yeah, would you like me to do anything else with it? Yeah. So I said, turn it into a website for me. Yeah, could you put it into a website for me? That thing, because it'd be really good to share that with people. Yeah. So now it creates me a website. Okay. So this is a website, and here's all the menu items. Yeah, with jumps down to the different menus, and links and the shortcut keys and all the rest of it. Yeah, it's created a set of cross references. Yeah, it's created a glossary of terms for me, and this was all from that one prompt. Absolutely incredible. Yeah, it is amazing, isn't it, Anna? I mean, what you can generate now, in a matter of a few key clicks is just absolutely phenomenal. I don't know whether any of you use Canva.
Yeah, I do.
Well, Canva had their big annual conference last week on Friday. So let's fire up Canva. Okay. And I got in early. They released after the conference, they released to the first 1 million people who found the little Easter egg, the new features a little bit earlier. So this will probably take a week or two to make it to everybody else's accounts. But you've now got this Canva AI option, and one of the options in it is code for me. So you can generate stuff in Canva now automatically. So let me find where I generated it. Okay. So I asked it to generate me. I do a module on sustainable development goals in the summer with my students, and they have to do this assignment that I call Make a Difference. They have to go and create a project that will make some kind of a measurable difference, positive difference to the world. Okay, so I thought, right, well, maybe I can help them along the way. Maybe we could do this as a workshop. So I want them to use design thinking. Yeah, so I asked Canva, I said, would you please create me a website which will take the students through design thinking to create a Make a Difference project. Okay, so this is the website that it created in about 10 minutes. Okay, and you can this website is published, so let's go and have a look at it. Yeah, and I think you can probably access this website. So let me pop it in the chat, see whether you can get to it as well. There we go.
While you're talking about Canva, Joe, it struggled. Now, this might have been a year ago at this stage, with images that were with extreme aspect ratios. So if you went beyond the kind of 16:9, like if you tried to do a 4:1 LinkedIn banner, it struggled. Does it still struggle? Or the image tools in general?
I don't know, but probably not. I mean, a year is ancient history.
Yeah.
I suspect if you try it again, that'll be much better, Jennifer, because the image creation and all the old stuff about it not being able to do hands and text in images and stuff like that, they've pretty much fixed most of that now. But this took 10 minutes. Okay, so what we've got here is the empathize stage. Okay, so which are the relevant SDGs? So, you pick a couple of the SDGs, yeah, that are going to be relevant to your project. Who can be, put some stakeholders in. So, we've got Jen as a stakeholder or whatever. And then, what do they say? So now we're empathy mapping and stuff like that. Yeah. And I said, give the students an option to save progress. So when they save progress, yeah, here's all the inputs that they've put in for all the questions. So as they go through this, they can then generate this as I couldn't get it to save it as a document. But I could make him save it to clipboard like this. So you copy those responses to the clipboard and then fire up, Word or whatever, file, new document, and then you've got your complete, structure for your project, copied out from the website. Yeah, so I'm going to be trying that with the students, that design thinking thing as a little exercise. But I mean, I mean, look at it. It looks really cool. Yeah. And you can go through the different stages. It's got the breadcrumbs. You're 20% complete. Yeah. And the next stage and the next stage. Yeah. It's just mind-boggling what you can create now as a teacher to engage your students in different ways, or to publish your your thinking or whatever in these different ways that people can then perhaps interact with and whatever. Yeah. That Word doc, this Word doc, I did this yesterday with the class. I put the class through an exercise last week. So I asked them at the start of the class yesterday to do a stop, start, continue review. Okay, so look at what we did last week. And so I took them through this process and I said, right, everybody in the class, do this individually for 5 minutes. Okay, open up a clean Word doc, type in those 3 headings, stop, start, continue, and put in a few bullet points again against each of those as to what you would do differently next time. So what would you stop doing? What should you have done that you didn't do? What should you start doing? And then what worked well? What do you continue? Okay. And then I created a Google Doc and shared the link with the class. And I said, right, now you've got all your points. Just go into that Google Doc and just drop them in. Doesn't matter where you drop them in, just everybody drop them in. Okay. So what we got, let me find those Google Docs. What we got was a combined document. Recent. Here we are. So this was the full-time class learning route. Yeah. Okay. So what we've got is this document, of all everybody putting in their stuff. Yeah. So then what I did was I went up here to the top, because this is Google Docs, so I've got Gemini up here. Yeah. And I said, okay, summarize all the points, yeah, into a structured summary for me. Okay. So it's taken that, however many pages of just fairly unstructured points, and now it's structured them down: planning and execution, teamwork, yeah, project management stuff, tech and tools, areas for improvement, stop, start, continue stuff, specific learnings. Yeah. And I could copy that and I could say, just maybe go to the bottom or open a new document. And now all that unstructured information that we've gathered from 30 different students is summarized in a 2-page, really structured, it's kind of abstracted all the duplicates and all the rest of it. And in a few seconds, we've got a really good summary of the learning points that came out of that tool, that exercise. But the AI has kind of facilitated us pulling all that together. Yeah. And this is typically what I'm doing in classes now. I'm using AI tools like this with the students in real time, yeah, so that they see how to do it. So they're using the tools in real time as well to aid their thinking, to aid their research and stuff. And we're still encouraging critical thinking, and we're still saying, well, it came up with this, it wasn't very good, was it? Or we kind of point out stuff like that. So it's not replacing thought, but it's amplifying process.
Thanks, Joe. May I ask you a question, please?
Please do, Hassan. Yeah.
It was a wonderful presentation. I'm really thankful and appreciate it. But my question is that when you were asking Gemini about the PowerPoint, I noticed that your mouse pointer was moving. Was it done by the Gemini or by yourself? I saw you also scrolled down some of the fonts or something like that.
I think it was me.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I wasn't taking control of my screen.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Joe, can I ask you a question about your
Please do, Jen.
subscriptions?
Yeah.
You've often
I
shared.
get far too excited doing all this stuff, Jen. You've got to jump in and stop me.
That's all right. Well, in the past, you've shared an update of what you're paying for example. So the last time that I know I missed the webinar 9, but I was here for webinar 8. And at that point, you had resubscribed to ChatGPT, having cancelled it previously. But you're now Gemini is your number one. Would that be a fair statement? So what are like, do you still use Perplexity a lot?
I subscribe to Perplexity, Google Workspace, which includes Gemini, ChatGPT, Microsoft Copilot, Claude. At the moment, I'm spending €300 a month on AI subscription.
Wow. That's a significant increase on where you were.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
signed up for Perplexity
yeah.
maybe 6 or 7 months ago as my one-stop shop
It's your one-stop shop.
because
Yeah,
I could get
you could get all the
Claude,
yeah,
ChatGPT, blah 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 blah.
yeah.
What are you finding is the benefit of having on top of Perplexity having all like at some level you've some duplication, I guess.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's duplication. I suppose, I mean, I'm signed up to them because one, I need to stay on top of all this stuff because I'm
Mm,
doing these sessions, both. I mean, this is this is a freebie because we're a community of practice. But I mean, I do paid sessions for companies. I do paid sessions for government departments now and for, institutions and stuff like that. So I've got to be on top of this stuff. That's
okay.
why I'm paying all that money. But I mean, €300. I mean, you get a new gig that pays for itself. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I
So
understand. I suppose I'm
it's
trying to wrap
not a
my head
problem from
around.
that perspective. But in terms of duplication, yeah, they most of them do kind of the same thing, but they're leapfrogging each other every week. Every week
It wasn't
somebody.
actually that I felt it's not that you'd have duplication because you have lots of different it's more the fact that if you have Claude as part of Perplexity
Yeah.
and you have Claude separately, that was more than what I was thinking of than anything else.
And I
Um
suppose, they all have slightly different wrinkles in terms of what they can do in their specific interfaces as well. So
yeah,
I can
yeah,
I can use Claude through Perplexity by choosing Claude as my engine, or if I want
yeah,
to choose Gemini as the engine today in Perplexity, I can use Gemini or whatever and
yeah.
get a different feel in the writing and all the rest of it. But I want to stay on top of all those little nuggets and wrinkles in all the different interfaces as well, which is why I do that.
Which makes sense.
And
Yeah.
I also like the fact that I can, with the deep research, and I'm using deep research quite a bit, in the different tools, um, that I can do 3 or 4 deep research pieces, and then I've got a richer set of kind of knowledge to draw on,
Mm,
rather than just relying on one.
mm,
And they are very different when they come back. ChatGPT, well, Manus is probably the most detailed. Then ChatGPT will typically give me 70, 80 pages on a deep research piece. Gemini will give me 30 to 40 pages typically. Perplexity tends to give me 5 to 10. So there's a kind of ranked scale of complexity, if you like, from the
for
different tools.
sure.
And Gemini seems to kind of hit that middle ground quite nicely for me for a lot of the things that I'm doing, which is why that's the one that I go to first. And Gemini is very good at creating that plan, that research plan that I can then use
Mm.
as a prompt in the other engines. Yeah. So that's just a little trick.
Well, one of my other questions then is around what used to be called custom instructions in ChatGPT. I don't know, is it still called that? Um, and for a while, it seemed to be the only one that offered that as an option. But I
Yeah.
presume they all do that now.
Most of them have got that now. Yeah. And if I go back into ChatGPT, um, so you've got customized. So they changed it slightly now. So what do they call you? What traits should GPT have? What do you
Mm.
need to know about it? But now they've also, and you can tell it what to search, what to use.
Oh, yeah, the way
So
Perplexity has the academic search or the whatever.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. This doesn't have academic search yet, which is a pain. But
Mm.
it's starting to say, give me some other things as well, So, you might want it to be, forward thinking and use an encouraging tone. So it's helping that. But what they've also put into ChatGPT recently is memory. Okay. Now, where is it? Is it under settings? Da, 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 da. So, yeah, memory. Okay. Now, memory, and here's the thing about it. As of last week, ChatGPT remembers all your conversations that you've ever had with it. So if you had a conversation with ChatGPT, or you asked it questions and got information and all the rest of it 3 months ago, 6 months ago, it will now use that information when it is thinking about how to respond to your next question.
Oh, so it's training itself on your, oh, I have you.
For
Okay.
your entire history. Now, there might be some privacy concerns and stuff around that. Okay, so you can turn it off. You can say, turn off reference save memories. You can turn it off. So I've got it turned on. And if you manage the memories, okay, then it gives you all these nuggets that it has kind of extracted from your conversations of what it knows about you. Yeah. So, and it's pulled these different things out. Now, Danny and April use my ChatGPT account every now and then. So, it had one in a few days ago, and it said, loves playing Minecraft. Because that's Danny. Yeah, that's not me. So I just deleted that one, and stuff like that. But this persistent memory is going to change the game. I think it's one of the biggest changes we've seen in AI over the last couple of years, because persistent memory means that as you engage with and continue to use models that have persistent memory, they will get to know you. Because it's not just today's chat, it's all the chats you've had. So we're going to start building up almost a relationship with our AI that we use, because it will know us from all the chats that we have.
And it'll also put you off canceling your subscription, because then you'll be like, oh, well, I've lost my memory.
We don't want you to go off and use Claude. You stay with me because I know about you. Yeah, that's right. So it's very, very smart. Alice.
It's fascinating, Joe. Thanks so much for the session. It's been really useful. I had a general question. In the AI tools that you use, do any of them keep track of the amount of carbon it takes to make the calculations, to make the research, or to store that memory?
I've seen a couple of times Claude has popped up some stuff around sustainability, but I haven't seen any of the others do it.
Yeah. No. Thank you.
Yeah. But yeah,
they should.
They should. It should tell you kind of whenever you have a conversation, it said this used X amount of carbon or whatever. Yeah. Yeah.
Because some, it depends on how they work, but some may be using more than others, and it would be interesting to know that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Joe,
Right.
I'm conscious you have to dash.
Draw it to a close there, because I have to run and teach a class.
Yeah, Lillian, that's just, my God, the changes are just unbelievable.
Yeah. And we didn't get all the way to the bottom. Go and have a play with Learning Light. This is so fun. This is so much fun. I'm a photographer. I teach photography, and this is one of Google's new things. And you can play with lighting and learn all about lighting. Absolutely incredible. You can move this thing around. You can change the way the lights are set. It's just amazing. Go play.
I have a question, maybe it's for some other session. Have you tried Scopus AI? I didn't know it, and I really liked it. But like maybe some other time, you maybe covered it already. Yeah,
no, I don't think we have covered Scopus. We should maybe do one session, Mairead, on kind of research tools.
Yes, maybe I'll talk to you.
Everybody. Yeah,
I'll email you and see if it's worth doing one more session before we break up for summer.
No problem.
Thanks everybody for coming, and thanks a million, Joe. That was fantastic.
Super. Good to see you all. Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.